Welcome to this evening's edition of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello, everybody. We started a few seconds early, but you didn't miss anything yet.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we have a different topic under that umbrella. We actually broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation from CIVL. And you can also find the podcast on all the major podcasting platforms. And you can also see past episodes on drlesliephillips.com. And if you're a real keener and you love the show and you would like to join in live, we pre-record the show and we do it on the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Leslie Phillips. And so when we pre-record the show, we live stream so that we can have a live studio audience.
Sounds exciting.
It does sound exciting, and it is exciting. And so we've been doing a series, and the theme of the series is, after doing the show for, I think it may be 7 years even now.
At least.
At least. We've got hundreds and hundreds of episodes. And I've never really done a show series where it's, what do I believe about psychic abilities? What's my unique perspective on psychic abilities? I'm a psychic development teacher, and usually the show begins with a teaching, and I tend to deliver it in a very neutral way. But I thought, well, I'd like to share my personal perspective. And there are about 12 episodes in this series, and this is the 3rd episode. And so if you're just listening in on this episode, be aware that you'll be able to find more unique snippets from me about what I am believing about psychic abilities. And a great place to also get some idea of this is if you go to my website, drlesliephillips.com, and you go to the tab that says about Dr. Leslie. Because what I've included there is what I believe about psychic abilities. And so you can get a really good flavor as to whether you resonate with what I have to say from the summary that is on that page. So tonight's episode has to do with the psychic abilities and the body-mind connection, or the relationship between psychic abilities and your body, or your body personality level. And when I say body personality level, I mean this unit of consciousness that's living in this body on planet Earth.
This one right here.
That's right. And of course, you are so much more than this body and this unit of consciousness that's occupying the body. You are a multidimensional, eternal being. You create in multiple realities. And I wanted to share, as a way of conceiving of this and a way of understanding the relationship between this multidimensional level of you and this time-space reality embedded version of you, I wanted to share a metaphor. And I'm taking this metaphor from my book, Intuition and Chakras, but it is an excellent metaphor for explaining this concept. And in the book, I used the metaphor of the Mars rover. And I said, imagine this. Imagine that you are a star. And if you're a star, think about a star. A star is very bright. Our sun is a star. And that sun or star is radiating light. It's radiating light in all directions. It's radiating light throughout the universe. And that light travels far and wide. It travels into multiple realities and dimensions. And that's you. That's your higher being. That's your soul, that higher, greater level of you. And now imagine that one of those beams of light that's emanating from this great radiant star of your multidimensional consciousness, imagine one of those beams of light finds its way to a small blue-green planet in the Milky Way galaxy, otherwise known as planet Earth. And you see this beautiful world, this beautiful blue-green planet full of abundant life and adventure. And you say, well, I would like to explore that world more deeply. Thing is, though, that world is made of dense physical matter. And therefore, the energy in that physical world is much slower than your energy. And it doesn't obey the same laws of reality that you're used to. It has time, it has space, and it has this linear progression where things shift and change through time. And so you, this multidimensional version of you, wonders, well, how can I, when I am infinite, multidimensional, how can I experience that three-dimensional world? How can I experience it as fully as possible? And you come up with an answer, and you're inspired to create a body that you can use for exploring this blue-green planet. And you make the body, you construct the body from natural materials found on the planet. So atoms and molecules and the dense matter of Earth is used to create this physical body that you can now use as a vessel, as a vehicle for exploring. And now think about something from our not too distant culture. Think about the NASA and how they sent the Mars rover to traverse the terrain on Mars. So that's the metaphor. It's a bit like you created a Mars rover, you've created an Earth rover. Your Earth body is like an Earth rover.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, it's a fun metaphor. And of course, you, just like the Mars rover, you want your body to operate independently. And so you kit it out. You kit it out with sensory apparatus capable of interacting with the environment. You store information in it. And so it's got a level of capability of its own to interact with the environment that it's in. But you also remain available to guide it. So you have a link, a communication link between you and this Earth rover that you've created. And you also assign an aspect of your consciousness to stay with it, to be in charge of that clear communication. So a bit like how NASA has its control center that is interacting with the Mars rover. So clear communication between you and this body is important, and you install a relay system so that you can transmit and receive energy signals to and from your body. And in this metaphor, the relay system is your chakra system. Your chakras are the communication conduits between your higher being, the higher aspects of yourself, this radiant star shining its light in multiple realities infinitely, and the body personality or Earth rover version of you. So your chakras act as the communication conduit. And your chakras are non-physical channels that exchange energy and information between the higher aspect of you and your body personality level. So just think about that. They're non-physical channels, a bit like, and I don't know on the Mars rover what kind of energy transmission signals they're using, but let's say it was radio waves. It might be something else, right? They're non-physical, but it's an energy exchange that's taking place. It's an energy broadcast that's taking place. So your chakras transmit and receive information, and how they're doing that is through your psychic abilities, through your intuition. So part of your onboard system for being an Earth rover is chakra. And you have 7 major chakras positioned along your spine. 7 major energy information exchange centers. Each one is a channel for spiritual information relating to a different aspect of your reality. So just like on the Mars rover, there are different communications that are dealing with different parts of the onboard experience of being the Mars rover. Same thing with your chakra system. Each one deals with a different aspect of your reality. Each one transmits and receives information on a different part of you. And they're also associated with your endocrine system and your nervous system. So here we're talking about the body-spirit interface. These chakras interface with your hormonal system, your endocrine system, and they interface with your nervous system. And they help direct energy flow through your body. So they're giving signals that are relating to enabling you to operate as a high vibration energy being able to be embodied in a physical world. As well as all of those major chakras, there's hundreds of additional minor chakras, and they are also associated with smaller nerve clusters throughout the body. So you access your intuition through your chakras, and by tuning into them, the bit of you that's been assigned to this body, this time-space reality, by tuning into your chakras, you can receive your higher guidance through your intuition, so that you can be consciously aware of your purpose for being here. You know, maybe today the Mars rover has to go over to the mountain in the distance and take some samples. And maybe today you have, you know, a special purpose that you're doing that's guided by your higher being. By mastering your chakras, you can live your purpose, and you can deal with all of the ups and downs of the terrain that you are navigating. So the Mars rover it's kitted out, isn't it, to deal with things that it might encounter along the way. And so are you. And it's called your intuition. So I hope you enjoyed that fun metaphor, that way of talking about you, the body personality level version of you, your Earth rover, and you, the higher multidimensional version of you, we might call it your soul or your higher being. And, you know, many metaphors throughout history have been used to describe and explain the chakras. So I'm going to digress from my main metaphor a little bit, but so if you think about medieval times, the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues. So throughout time, we've used different metaphors or different ways of explaining this concept. They've been associated with the forces of the gods, the planets, the archangels, rays of light, and you know, as ways of illustrating the different qualities and challenges associated with each of the chakras. So they've been personified as gods and angels that reflect a particular aspect of reality, which is what the chakras do. And enigmatically, in the book of Revelations, they've been referred to as churches, candlesticks, lamps, vials, seals, trumpets, and so on. And what is a church? A church is a sacred space, a sacred center. So maybe lost in the translation there, you know, if you read the book of Revelations or churches, what the heck is it meaning? It's a sacred center. Your chakras are sacred centers. And they've been referred to as candlesticks and lamps because they are centers of light. They're reflecting the light of you, the high vibration spiritual being, emanating your radiance here through this body onto this earth. Trumpets because they vibrate at different frequencies, and vials and seals because they can be opened and the secrets within them can be revealed. And on that note, I think it's a good idea that we perhaps take a break, and we will come back after these messages.
Seems we dropped out there a little bit on YouTube, but I think we're back.
And on Facebook multiple times, actually.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. And tonight we're talking about your intuition, and in particular, the body-spirit interface. And we used the idea of the Mars rover as a metaphor to imagine this. You, the high vibration, multidimensional being, like a radiant sun, your light pouring out and radiating across the universe, touching upon many various realities and dimensions. And one of those beams of light, focusing its light on planet Earth. And just like NASA built the Mars rover to traverse the terrain on Mars, you built a physical body to traverse the terrain on planet Earth. And the terrain on planet Earth comprises 3-dimensional space and time. And as spirit, you're outside of the dimensions of time and space. You're eternal, multi-dimensional being. But your vehicle, your Earth rover, has the sensory apparatus that's just perfect for interacting with its environment on Earth. So it's got its 5 physical senses, you know, sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And they help it navigate the physical reality system. But you've also got these chakras, which are this body-spirit interface, which are channels for you to receive your higher guidance through your psychic abilities from your higher being. And these give you information beyond the 5 physical senses. These give you guidance from that higher being. Just like the Mars rover might upload or download a program that's being sent to it from Earth, from NASA, a new direction to go in, your higher being may convey to you a new direction to go in for your life. And if you are in touch with your intuition through your chakras, then you will hear that signal loud and clear, and you will be able to follow your higher guidance and be directed to an appropriate course for you and your life.
I have a question, and
Sure.
before we, I'm sorry to disturb you, but
It's all right.
you know, there's a lot of people that do psychic readings online. There's a lot of people that even teach people how to do psychic readings. But I've noticed most of them don't go into the spiritual aspect of the in-depth spiritual aspects of psychic abilities and the personal path that people take as they journey into this. Why is it that you have chosen to teach in this manner? Because I think it's important that we get the why in here about why you're talking to people about their spiritual nature and how it's so involved. Other than just, we all know that the psychic abilities are based in the spirit, but why is it that you find it so important to instill in people the path of spirituality as opposed to just the path of psychic abilities?
So obviously, I'm not trying to force feed or instill in anybody, but I'm offering my unique perspective as something that people might resonate with. And if they resonate with, then I'm here and I'm teaching this stuff. And I think that the way I teach is reflective of my level of experience and my personal information and you know, and perspective on all of this. And thousands and thousands and thousands of years on this earth, the spiritual path has led to the unfoldment of psychic abilities, or the desire to develop psychic abilities has led to spiritual development. They are hand in hand with one another. If you go back into ancient Hinduism, if you go back into ancient Egypt or ancient Tibet, you will see that the teachings are relating to this. That when we turn within and have an inner focus, a spiritual focus, when we meditate, when we heal ourselves, when we let go of our misunderstandings about who we are, when we let go of the lower, baser nature of being in an animal form and an animal body, then a natural side effect of that is that your psychic abilities evolve. So if you heal yourself and you raise your vibration, your psychic abilities emerge. It is a spiritual path. Likewise, if you are motivated by, I really want to develop my psychic abilities, to do it to a very high degree, to do it to a level of mastery, you can't unless you heal yourself as well. So the spiritual path leads to the development and opening of the psychic abilities. The desire to develop and open the psychic abilities leads to the spiritual path. And that's my path. And it's been my path through many lifetimes. And so I have previous lives where I have focused and been a part of the ancient mysteries. So what I teach today is what I learned and taught in other lifetimes. And so it's embedded within my DNA and is a part of who I am. And so there are different levels of mastery in any field of endeavor, you know, and so I guess I consider myself as someone with a vast depth of knowledge. And I invite people who are ready and want to explore it at this level. I'm here and I'm available to help with that.
Yeah, because I think personally, I feel that understanding this, that everybody has the ability, one way, shape, or form to do psychic work. Some people don't recognize it. Some people are nervous about it, and this, I think, though, the spiritual path that you talk about allows people to really, as opposed to, oh, you're going to meet somebody tall, dark, and handsome. It allows people to help people at a depth that the standard or general psychic that's doing this for fun isn't able to do it.
Yeah, and let me also say it this way. If you don't treat it as a spiritual path and you don't heal yourself, then you will get stuck. You will come to a point beyond which you can go no further unless you take those steps. So in my courses, especially the ones where, like the medical intuition course, or, you know, the trance medium course, where we're really going in a lot of depth, we are learning advanced techniques of how we can heal ourselves while we're helping others. Because every human being you look at is a mirror. So if you have somebody who comes to you for help, and let's say that, I'll use an extreme example, but let's say that person's been abused in some way, and you've been abused in a similar way, and you did not heal yourself from the abuse that you've experienced in life. That is, looking at that person psychically is going to stir up a whole lot of stuff within you. And unless you're prepared to look at yourself and heal yourself, you will not be able to see them, and you will not be able to help them. And you may very well go into some form of crisis yourself. And so, yes, we can play at a fun, superficial level, but ultimately, this is a part of our path back to divine. This is a part of our spiritual path of awakening as divine human. So my perspective is that this is a spiritual path. Whichever way you enter it, it becomes a spiritual path. If you are, I don't know, a guru in India, and you meditate for spiritual development, your psychic abilities will open as a side effect. If you are a Western tarot reader with a passion for reading, at some point, it will become a spiritual path for you. This lifetime or another lifetime, as you continue to pursue that interest. I'm open to questions from our
You are you?
Yeah.
That's always nice to know.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one from Kurash. It says, does this mean that people who are successful with their psychic abilities, I presume, have mastered their chakras?
I think it depends on how you define success. And I would say, was Jesus successful with his psychic abilities? Was Muhammad? Was the Buddha? Yes. Did they master their chakras? Yes. And then everyone following behind them on the path is somewhere along that path, learning as we go. And there are many successful people out there being successful as psychics, seemingly successful as psychics, with many, many followers, and are not necessarily the genuine article. So it depends on your definition of success. We have so much information out there. It's possible to find somebody to follow that the information is not good information. But they can still be successful and have many followers and make a lot of money out of it. So all of the great spiritual masters had opened their psychic abilities and mastered their chakra system. The rest of us are somewhere along the path towards that. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, this is from Karen. Karen says, why would someone have the gift of telepathy? I trust my insight and intuition, yet at times I get told I'm overthinking and wrong. Thank you both.
So, in my experience, there can be many reasons why somebody has the gift of telepathy. And I will generalize and give some general examples. Often people who have a passion for animal communication, and that is part of their purpose this lifetime, will have the gift of telepathy. Why? Because that is how animals communicate. Even somebody who is a keen gardener or who is a botanist or an environmentalist might have the gift of telepathy, because it's also how the plant kingdom communicates with one another. It's also my experience that people whose purpose has to do with being a broadcaster or a speaker or someone who is here to inspire and uplift others may also have the gift of telepathy, because it helps them convey information to individuals or groups. So they're communicating beyond the use of verbal language, and they're communicating, non-verbally as a telepath. Sometimes people who might describe themselves as an empath, who are getting overwhelmed in the world, it can actually be a combination of clairsentience and really open telepathy. So there's different reasons, and it's unique to everyone that has it. And then to your other comment that says, sometimes I'm told that I'm overthinking, that is one of the 7 most common reasons why people are stuck or blocked from their intuition. The tendency to go into the intellect. in my Unlock Your Intuition course, which, by the way, is starting in the next week, we go through these 7 common blocks and we learn how to deal with them, how to overcome this monkey mind, overthinking, tendency to intellectualize, and the doubt that comes from the intellect. And I find that these things are very simple fixes. But unless you know how, you can go for years stuck in overthinking or ignoring or the intellect overpowering and dismissing your intuition. So, yeah. Karen, check out the Unlock Your Intuition course, because it might be something that you might find helpful, because it's very, very much about helping you overcome overthinking and the doubting intellect. On that note, we will go to our next break and we will be back after these few messages. Welcome back, everyone, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Tonight's episode, we've been talking about the relationship between your intuition and your body. And we used a great metaphor at the beginning of the show, the Mars rover, saying that you had an Earth rover. And you also have like a control station, which is your higher being. So if you're joining us a bit late, well, make sure that you listen to the podcast and catch the beginning of the show. Anyway, we're in the final leg of the show, and we're always wanting to hear your comments and your questions. So over to you, live studio audience.
Mm-hmm. So we have Sylvia says, thank you for sharing. And then the next statement is your knowledge. And Karen says, thank you so much. This is a valuable information I have not been able to find anywhere else. So you've got to give her something that she's been able to give.
Yeah, that's great, Karen. So do check out drlesliephillips.com, because if you've not been there, you will find many things that can help you, including that course that I mentioned, Unlock Your Intuition.
Well, folks, make sure you get your questions in if you want Dr. Leslie to answer them and or give you a short reading or whatever you'd like. It seems everybody is just listening. And
I can see something on the Facebook on my phone, Corey. I don't know whether you're not able to see it because of the internet going in and out, but if you can't see it, I can read it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, well, let me see, because I do see Brian has, well, it's really hard for me to actually see. Brian, you might want to post it again.
Yeah, if you would, Brian, that would be great.
Yeah. Anyone who's posted on Facebook, can you post your question again? Because Corey's unable to see it, and because I'm live streaming from Facebook. Oh, and Lorraine also has a question. Here, I think I can find Brian's question. Are our memories truly stored in the mind or elsewhere? Since we can access past life memories, and there are areas of study like the Akashic records, is it kind of like how we can save our files on our computer? But also back it up on the cloud? How else are our memories and experience stored or saved for access? Great question, Brian. So obviously, for an understanding of how scientists might see how memories are stored in the brain, you can Google that, and I am sure that there's a wealth of information. But from my perspective as a spiritual teacher, everything that ever was, is, and will be is a matter of record. Okay, so it is something that can be accessed. So is it stored in your brain? It's stored beyond your brain. So let's see if we can say it this way. I believe you have a personal Akashic record which relates to you and your experience, the experiences that you have created as a soul, and that you have a personal Akashic record that relates to your experiences on this planet, and one that relates to this lifetime. And so that information is stored in relation to this planet and to this world, and is stored in relation to you, and can be accessed quite easily when you know how, using clairvoyance and other psychic abilities. So everything is energy, and energy is never destroyed. It's in creation, it's out there. So, I mean, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, every experience that you have ever had, including all the moments from your past lives, there is a record of that can be accessed psychically.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
Do you want me to find the other one by
No,
Lorraine?
I've got them through.
Good.
I've been able to pull them in.
Okay.
So this is from Sylvie. What are your thoughts on healing modality like Reiki?
So everything is energy, and I'm a healer. I teach healing. I have a year-long medical intuition course, and I do not label it as any particular modality. What I teach my students to do is perceive energy, read energy, and work with energy, and to interact in each and every moment with what they are seeing and what they are sensing, and to draw upon their own inner wisdom and their own intuition and their own guidance for what is the best tool that they might use in that situation. So I teach energy tools and energy techniques, but I also encourage people to be very creative in creating their own energy tools and techniques as well. So my thoughts on a modality such as Reiki or any other modality is that it is a system that has been created to interface with energy, and that it's great. It can be a limited system depending on, but it's accessible for lots of people. But it's possible, I believe, to learn Reiki and you're following the system, but you're not necessarily deeply perceiving the energy, seeing the energy, seeing what's going on within the person that you're giving the healing to, and going through a healing routine as opposed to going directly to the core of the issue. So I believe that all these healing modalities are great, and they open up the idea of healing to more people. And I guess they are a way that people can create a structure around the idea of healing, because people want to have a structure. But from my perspective, everything is energy, and we can learn to perceive energy directly and work with energy directly and be very effective as in that way as healers. So I don't really like to use labels about what I'm doing and what I'm teaching people to do, because it's not just a simple routine. It's much, much more than that.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment on that myself. I'm a Reiki master, and I have several different healing modalities that I've studied and worked with. And my personal feeling is that it, like when you're working with somebody in Reiki, it could take many sessions and, an hour a session, 45 minutes a session, where there are other modalities that I use that in like 3 minutes, I don't know what to do with the rest of the, the hour session, and get to the crux of the problem. Somebody told me once, if you only have one tool in your tool belt, that's the only tool you have. And if it's a hammer, and then you look for everything that's a nail. Everything to you is going to be a nail. So some people will, like Dr. Leslie said, some people will associate more with Reiki. Some people will associate more with another form of healing. But it's all energy work. So whatever you think is right for you.
And what I give my students is not one tool, but a toolbox, which is full of many tools.
Yeah, exactly. Lorraine says, I'm finding that using both the Audible and PB edition, a paperback edition of Intuition and Chakra is helpful. First, I listened, did a review what I've heard with the book. Oh, great. That's wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, I was instrumental in helping with the book, and I only found out last week there's an Audible version of it.
Well, because Llewellyn, the publisher, has all the rights, and then they subcontract sublicense the rights to Tantor, which is the audiobook creator.
Yeah. So this is from Susan. Susan says, when I'm in my mediumship circle, we have to give messages after the evidence. I can get evidence, but when it comes to a message, I struggle. Is there anything I could do to help getting a meaningful message?
So you might have to explain a bit more because you're using the lingo of your mediumship circle. So I think what you mean when you say evidence is, I don't know, I'm seeing a lady in a pink hat. Can anybody take a lady in a pink hat? Oh, Auntie Mary used to wear a pink hat. I think that's what you mean by evidence. So you're identifying, oh, I've got Auntie Mary here. And then you're like, well, what's the message that Auntie Mary's got to give to her niece or nephew in the audience? Yeah, the guidance is develop your psychic abilities to a greater degree so that you can really direct them at communicating with Auntie Mary. And because it sounds like you're waiting for it to land and you're sort of hanging around in the dark. Whereas if you develop your psychic abilities, you can just be very directed in receiving information and reading information like that. So it sounds like a skill level thing where you could spend more time honing your psychic abilities. And in a way, that's where I come in, because I have many psychic development courses, because often mediumship circles are not necessarily always giving you training like that. You know, you're sitting and you're meditating and you're waiting for messages, but you can deliberately go after the information and bring it through.
Thank you, Dr. Leslie. This is the next one's from Moislava, and she says, I saw my body being all light. So how do I repeat that experience? It was an unbelievable experience. And because I worked on myself before, she says.
That's a very beautiful experience. Thank you for sharing it. I've got two comments. One is through meditation. A really great meditation for that type of experience is to focus on the heart chakra and focus on the light and love that you can find within your heart chakra, and focus on it and expand it. And expand it so that every atom, every molecule, every electron within your physical system is bathed in that light. And the second comment is, we often will have a spiritual experience and then measure everything else that happens against that experience. And if it doesn't live up to it, it's not good enough. So it's very important to be accepting of what is and allow whatever is happening now to be what's happening now, and not set yourself up to measure yourself always against that one experience, because there are many experiences to be had and we're always changing. But yeah, I recommend that, meditating on your expanding the radiance of your heart chakra.
Koresh says, does this unlocking psychic abilities would have some sort of side effect on my body?
Yes. Yes. Whenever we do any healing or spiritual work, or the healing and spiritual work that's necessary to unlock your psychic abilities, it will have an effect on your body, because basically what we're doing is we're making changes as spirit, and we are raising the vibration of the system by releasing and letting go of density within the system. And your body will have a response to that. It's called a growth period or a growth cycle. Every change we ever make as spirit, there is a response within the body. If we go too fast, as in the example of someone who has a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, it can be an overwhelming response that's difficult to handle. So it is important that we go at a pace that is comfortable for our body, and in my opinion, have an understanding about what we're doing, and be able to correlate, oh, I did that meditation and I changed these things around, and now 2 days later I'm on my back and I don't want to get out of bed, or whatever it is. So the short answer is yes, with a slightly longer bit of information for you.
Thank you. This is from Shannon. Shannon says, hey, lovely Lester and Mr. Corey, can you give me a short reading on my solar plexus?
Okay. Own your space. So Shannon, I believe you did my Unlock Your Intuition course. You have got some foreign energy in your third chakra, which is making it feel uncomfortable to you. And so I'm not saying it's completely overtaking you, but it's just, it feels uncomfortable because it's a lower vibration. It feels like it's a male vibration, possibly to do with your work, possibly a competition level. But yeah, so you can run energy through your third chakra. You can use some of the healing techniques that you've learned from me, but basically it's just not your, it's not just you that's in there, it's somebody else that's just making it feel off. All right.
Thank you. What we're going to do is we have 2 more, it's time, but we're going to have 2 more questions. And because of the mix up, I'm not sure who came in first all the time. So I'm just going to have these 2 answer these 2 for us, Dr. Leslie, and then we'll go.
Well, then
It's
if you
from
lost anything due to the internet dropping out, you'll have a bit of extra material.
Yes. This is SG. Is there any kind of belief or programming that keeps me in an anxious state that I'm unaware of?
Well, first chakra. And basically, it's not safe to be me. Let's see if there's any more information about that. It's not safe to be me, and creating in this reality equals pain. So you might want to look at past experiences that gave you that impression and heal them from your space. Yeah, next one.
Next one's from Karen. Karen says, I telepathically pick up on negative thoughts directed at me from friends. Why would I be picking up on negative thoughts? Should I block or find friends more in alignment to me?
Huh. That's a good question, isn't it? Do they ever have any positive thoughts about you that you pick up on? Well, why would you be picking up on those thoughts? Because you're opening to your telepathic. So, let's see, I would never tell you what friends you should or shouldn't have. That's down to your free will. So I would just say if they're having unpleasant thoughts about you, and that's not balanced with sufficient positive thoughts about you, then you could look at that for yourself and decide from your own free will what you would like to choose. And why are you picking up on it? Because you're psychic. And should you block them, why would you want to block them? So that you don't feel pain. If you're feeling too much pain, then look at your other question. Should these people remain as my friends? And no, I'm not giving you an answer and a direct answer, because the way the question's written, you're asking me to tell you what to do, and I won't tell you what to do. Your life is your own to make your own choices. But it sounds like you've already collected some data there. So I'd say meditate on it and find your own answer to that.
And that brings us to the end of the show, Dr. Leslie.
Wonderful.
We'll
Thank
see you all next week. We're going to talk about 4 common mistakes psychic students make. Part 4, common mistakes psychic students make.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.